All right, now that we did completing the square, which can be confusing, we're going to go into the quadratic formula. This is much more simple. However, you have to be able to plug in information to the formula that's given. So let's look at the formula. The formula is x equals the opposite of b, or negative b, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. Now let's talk about what a, b, and c are. Okay? So the standard form of the equation, it has to be written in this form. It has to be written in ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Then we can start plugging in information. You're going to identify a, b, and c and substitute them into the formula and then simplify if you need to. So again, we're always going to use the same formula. This is our formula. This is our formula right here. We're going to use this every time. Like if you want to write it and copy and paste it every time, do that. That works. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to identify A, B, and C every single time. And I'm going to do that, I'm going to color code that so you can see that a little bit better here. So our A is always the number before x squared. Our B is always the number before x. And actually we need to include that sign with it. And our C is the number that stands by itself. So what we're going to do, when we don't have a number in front of one of them, it's always just going to be 1. Okay? So we don't have a number in front of x squared, so it's going to be 1. So in this case, we have A equals 1. And I'm going to write this out to the side every single time. B equals 2. And C equals negative 63. Okay? So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to plug my information into my formula. So I have x equals the opposite of b, which is 2, and I use parentheses, 2, plus or minus the square root of 2 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 63. And all of that goes over 2 times 1, or 2 times a. Okay? So we get x equals negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 2 squared is 4, and negative 4 times 1 times negative 63 is positive, so we get plus 252 all over 2 times 1, which is just 2. Okay? So now we get, let's go ahead and do what's in our parentheses here. We get, what's in our square root. We get x equals negative 2 plus or minus, we're going to just simplify. All I'm doing here is simplifying 4 plus 252, and I get 256 all over 2. So x equals negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 256 is 16 all over 2. Okay? So I'm going to break this down into 2 separate equations because I have a plus and a minus. So I have x equals negative 2 plus 16 over 2, and x equals -2 minus 16 over 2. X equals -2 plus 16 is 14 over 2, which is 7. And -2 minus 16 is -18 over 2, which is -9. So x equals 7 and x equals 9 are your answers. So again, we have to break these down into two separate equations because we have that plus or minus. Let's do another one together. Again, I know that these take a long time to do, and that's okay. Okay? Let's do one that isn't already set up for us. Let's look at 4. So number 4, we need to rearrange because our formula we have to start in is standard form, which is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So we need to rearrange some things, and we need to get all of this over here. So we're going to subtract 4x from both sides to start, and we get -2x squared minus x, or 1x, equals -15. And now we're going to add 15 to both sides. And we get -2x squared minus 1x plus 15 equals 0. Remember, because we can't combine this 15 with our x squared or our x, so we just add it in. So now we're set up in the formula that we need to be set up in. And remember, we have our A. Let's see, what color should I use? A is red, so A is the number before x. B is the number, A is the number before x squared. B is the number before x. And C is the number that's by itself. So let's write those out. And this is going to help you every time to write it out. I would like you to write it out. Actually, I need to see that. A equals -2. B equals -1. And C equals 15. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to just plug everything into our formula. And our formula, again, is -b, or the opposite of b, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So we're going to just plug that information in. Actually, let me write it out for it so we can see it. X equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So let's plug our information in, and we get x equals -b. Remember, b is already negative here, so we have -1 plus or minus the square root of b squared. So we get -1 squared minus 4 times -2 times 15 all over 2 times -2. Okay, so all I did was plug in the information that I was given. And now I have x equals 1 plus or minus the square root of -1 is 1. And then I'm just going to multiply all of these together. All of that's going to get multiplied together in my calculator. And I get 121. So I have, That's not right. 120 plus 120 all over 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. X equals 1 plus or minus the square root of 121 over negative 4. X equals 1 plus or minus the square root of 121 is 11 over negative 4. And this is where I'm going to break it down into two separate problems. I have 1 plus 11 over negative 4. Sorry, x equals. And I have x equals 1 minus 11 over negative 4. So I have 1 plus 11 is 12 divided by negative 4. 12 divided by negative 4 is negative 3. And 1 minus 11 is negative 10 over negative 4. And I'm going to leave it as a fraction, but I can reduce it. And I get 5 over 2. And those are my answers. X equals negative 3. And x equals 5 over 2. Okay. The only one I'm going to just set up for you is number 6. And I'm just going to set this up. We're going to subtract 10x from both sides. So we now have 8x squared minus 10x equals 0. So now here my A, B, and C. Here's my A. Here's my B. And I don't have a C, so my C is 0. So when I write out mine, I have A equals 8. B equals negative 10. And C equals 0. Okay, so now you have the information to set that one up yourself. Okay, again, I know it takes time, and that's okay. I'm not going to give you, that's why you only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to do on your own. So again, if you have questions, let me know. There are other videos on the internet that you can watch that are going to help you, but I want to see all of your steps. If you turn this in with just x equals negative 3 and x equals 5 over 2, I am not giving you credit for the assignment. Same with the homework. So make sure you're showing all of your work before you turn these in. Okay, good luck. Let me know if you have any questions.